Grow up. Not too fast. Welcome to the King Moolah TV podcast. All right, y'all. Back with another one. My name is King. And my goodness, I kind of fell asleep before I was supposed to make this episode. Oh man, I was supposed to start way earlier. It is late. It is 2 a.m, about to be 3. I didn't want to start this late. I just fell asleep watching Fight Night, new show, The $1 Million Heist, new show on Peacock TV. Oh, I like it so far. It's got a lot of heavy hitters on there. Kevin Hart, Don Cheadle, Terrence Howard, Samuel L. Jackson, Taraji P. Henson. I did see Chloe Bailey in there. I did see, was there anybody else that I recognized? I seen David Banner. I think those are all the big names in there. I already said Kevin Hart, yeah. It's a nice setting. I've been waiting to watch it all week. I'm gonna probably binge it on this Saturday, which is today. But anyways, to get into the topic. How should I go about this? Getting into the topic, it's like, just like this. I like this position better. All right, the actual topic. Growing up too fast. It's one big thing. It's one thing to grow up too fast. In the way that the world is rapidly changing, a lot of kids, a lot of situations that kids are in has to make them grow up too fast, has to able to take care of families really, really early in their age. And a lot of the kids don't really get to have a childhood because of this. Because of growing up too fast and being told to grow up too fast. Now, I'm going to mainly bring this in of being told to grow up too fast. Versus actually growing up too fast. Because you could be told whatever, but if it's not happening in your household, then, it's just not happening. But, yeah, let's first start. My first point, upbringing. I do say upbringing. I think I've said upbringing a few times in the podcast. What does that actually mean? Well, upbringing means how you were raised. Okay? Here's a technical definition from New Oxford American Dictionary. The treatment and instruction received by a child from its parents. I'm going to read that again because why would you say its parents? His or her parents. Come on now. The treatment and instruction received by a child from his or her parents throughout his or her childhood. All right. So yeah, that's what that means. I'll give you the Merriam-Webster as well. Got to give you two, at least two. Upbringing, Merriam-Webster defines it as early training. And it says, especially a particular way of bringing up a child. So, yeah, that's upbringing. And what's really about your upbringing is basically, it's mainly instilled from your parents or lack of parents in the home. Just however that it is, because there are a lot of people's situation are not the same. There's a lot of people that didn't have parents growing up that's been born in foster care. There's a lot of people that maybe only had one parent, a single parent. There's a lot of people that had two-parent households, okay, but that weren't necessarily good. We got bad parenting, and then we got good parenting, and then we got neutral in between. We got parenting styles and all of that. Just to name a few, passive parenting, which is not the same as gentle parenting. A lot of people like to get that confused. Every time they see a parent being passive, they call that gentle. That's not what it is, okay? But that is a whole different, if I wanted to get into the actual styles of parenting, I could do that on a whole nother episode. So, but what I'm really focusing on is the parenting or lack of versus the environment. And that's basically the big common topic of nature versus nurture. Now, what nature is, we're going to have to define that, I think, with nature in this scenario is the inherent character or basic constitution of a person or thing. Essence. Yeah, there's a lot of definitions for nature, but the inherent character or basic constitution is basic of a person. Their essence is pretty much the definition for nature versus nurture. Another one could be a humankind's original or natural condition. Yeah, you can say that, but yeah, if you were doing like a scientific study or something like that. Or it could be the genetically controlled qualities of an organism. Yeah. B, well, I don't know why I said that. Here's another one. An inner force, such as instinct, appetite, or desire, or the sum of such forces in an individual. All right. And a spontaneous attitude. All this is on Merriam-Webster. So, nature, that's what it is. That's what nature is. So all of that is just basically how you are. Well, whether it's genetic, whether it's environmental factors, just basically, it's just the basics of a person, like the basic things that they have, the basic features. It could be physical and all of that. But this is more behavioral. So it's mainly talking about humankind in general and like social environments and all of that. So that's what nature is. That's pretty much, yeah, that's what nature is, how it's raised. But nurture, slightly different. Well, not slightly, but you can make these things, you can say these things are hand to hand the same. Like, so nurture is care for and encourage the growth or development of. Okay, so that's yeah, that's actually putting more action and thoughtful action, I would say, into what you're doing to cultivate something a certain way. Well, let's talk about people, a person, a child, a certain way. Nurture. Little people in training. So you training, it's upbringing, it's Merriam-Webster defines it as training and upbringing, something that nourishes the sum of environmental factors influencing the behavior and traits expressed by an organism. See, the thing with nature and nurture, just by reading it, I just feel like they are almost saying the same things in certain senses. Because in certain definitions, they pretty much are saying the same thing. Like, here's one of the examples from Merriam-Webster. Is our character affected more by nature or by nurture? Okay, that's actually what I think. That's the premise of nature and versus nurture. Our character. But a lot of it can be epigenetics, but that's more on well, I mean, I can include it, but I don't know if I really want to go that far. Education. So, growing up too fast. Nature versus nurture. So, nature being environment, environmental factors. Now, when I say environmental factors, you can also say, see, the big thing with this, nature, and when you're doing with your environment is usually your area around your school. I mean, your environment can be your home if you're like over sheltered, and or your school environment. But environment in general usually refers to a wider area, not just your home. So it's just includes the area of your school, your bank, your house, or everything that includes in your area, city. So your environment is other houses, your neighborhood, your schools, that type of thing. Nurture is more so how you were raised. Okay. So, I mean, I'm going to keep doing different perspectives. I'm still going to try to make a solidified statement about nature versus nurture. So nature would be where you're raised. Nurture is how you're raised. There, I think that's the most solid thing about it. Yeah, I think so. So how you're raised affects pretty much affects how you see things. Where you're raised can affect you as well, and it can be a problem if it is not an environment that is very safe to learn, or very open about learning. It's not very, it's a good environment. It's a suitable, sustainable environment. That's what the nature is. And what I'm trying to say is, with that, growing up too fast, a lot of kids had to, besides being told that they're growing up too fast, because like I said before, if they were told that, but they have an environment where they can actually still be a child, it really doesn't matter what they say, because what they're actually experiencing day to day is totally different from what they're being told. Yeah, it might be in their mind, but I think it's something that's where the nurture overpowers the nature in a sense. The role of society when it comes to growing up too fast is they're telling boys to be men at really young ages,
Because I've been told that at a really young age. I'm pretty sure a lot of us were told, a lot of us guys were told to be a man at a really young age. Even though we're just, like we're just new and still fresh and new to the world, and we still haven't really even figured out what we wanted to do in life. We really haven't figured out what we wanted to be, or what we wanted to. We wasn't really even figuring out what we wanted to wear. What makes you think we knew how to be a man? Like, it's only based off what we told and what we see, and it can be very, very toxic to us, because it doesn't allow us. A lot of times when they say for us to be men, a lot of it is abusive, mentally abusive to us, because it's not allowing us to, because usually when they say that statement, it is a certain standard requirement that they're asking for, that usually does not consider emotional well-being. And that's a big thing, because that's why there's a lot of guys who can't express themselves properly, because of this narrative of having to be a man or being tough, and nobody really cares. Which is true, nobody really cares. But how it affects us, it is a lot. It hurts to be a man at times, because you don't get to express yourself the way that you want to a lot of times. Well, that's because of years of being told not to express that. Men don't cry, you weak. When you do that, that's the nature, that's the role of society, that's the environment plaguing our minds with that, being indoctrinated with that type of thing, we are suffering. We have suffered the consequences. A lot of the older men have suffered those consequences as well, not being able to express themselves, and still regurgitating the same nonsense that they were told when they were younger, even though they know that it's wrong. Like, it's not a good thing to pressure young guys to be men, and without emotional well-being, without having a mental health break, without checking up on their emotions, or making sure that they identify their emotions that they're feeling, and actually addressing them and getting to the root cause, and doing the shadow work and all that stuff to fully realize their emotional capability. I think is a lot of the times, people are just so focused on what society has to say, and I think because we're social beings, and we listen to society, what society has to say, because we don't want to be pointed out, because it hurts to be alone. It really does at times. When you want to be social, let me clarify. When you want to be social, but you end up and your viewpoint is, you feel like it's not agreeable with the amount of people, or that's either around you or online or something like that, then it feels to be alone. It hurts to be alone. But so that's why a lot of guys conform to that toxic mindset of being a man. Not just being a man who is emotionally capable of showing compassion, showing their feelings, but not always having to be tough, for the world. That's very important. Now, for the girls, they kind of tell them not to grow up too fast. It's usually the reverse, or not to grow up too fast, because there's, when they call a girl fast, they're saying that she is Owen. If you know what that means. saying that she's promiscuous at a young age. Teenage girls being promiscuous at a young age, and they're growing up too fast because they want to be taken care of by older guys or older people, want to be, or they want to, not even that, they want to have the type of freedom to choose, whatever way that they want to express themselves, even though like there's a lot of pressure on them to not grow up too fast, because they know the road. It's a valid point still, but in a way that, but only to an extent, because the way that it's being pushed down on girls, it is also toxic, because it's a lot of pressure to be a girl. There's a lot of restrictions, and there should be restrictions for girls, especially teenage girls who are sexually active, who are moving too fast. But it's also because of their upbringing. Like I said, that goes back to upbringing, because their environment is toxic. It's society right now, when economically is bad, and even back then it was not so good, because we fantasize and we see all the movies and we say this, that, and the other about it. We always think it's somewhat of a positive thing that we seen back then, but a lot of the times they were going through it as well. That's why a lot of them were on drugs. A lot of them were not right in the head. A lot of them were not stable. A lot of the families were broken up around back then. So that played a role into how girls grow up too fast now. They were being fast back then as well. It's a lot. It was a lot of Owen going around back then as well. It didn't just start in 2000, but it's amplified over radio, over TV and movies and all that stuff, to make it seem like it's acceptable or okay. There's nothing wrong with telling the truth, but don't make it seem like that's the good. Certain things should be taught and addressed and shown, but it shouldn't be glorified, especially being promiscuous at a young age. Like, I can't stand seeing young girls being promiscuous, getting into drugs and stuff like that on TV. I despise seeing that on shows that I'm watching, or movies or anything like that, because it's not showing them that they want to be yes, there can be a teen drug problem and this, that, and the other, but address it. Don't just make it seem like it's cool. Don't just make it seem just because everyone's doing it. Like, address it like they tell us. Say no to drugs like they try to teach us in school. I said no. I didn't want to deal with any of that. And I'm still good over here. Don't want nothing to do with drugs. Nothing. But I know a lot of people, some people, it's temptation. And once you get hooked onto it, it's like it's difficult to stop, because then you got relapses, withdrawals, stuff like that, or you just, life is hard, and it makes it a little bit harder because you're addicted to it now. Now you got an addiction that you can't, that it's gonna take a lot of discipline to get over. So like, growing up too fast, we really gotta understand how, like, the messages that we teach, that are being taught to children, we're teaching our children. I don't got no children, but we're teaching our children. I'm just saying it as we, because this is a society thing. We gotta be careful. And we gotta be open and honest, but we also gotta be able to limit certain conversations you know, as in tell them the truth, but don't give them too much. Make sure that they're ready and make sure that they understand. A lot of people aren't having the uncomfortable conversations that allows people to understand things and make better decisions, better than the previous generation. So that's grown up too fast. It has been a problem for a while, and I've been seeing it unfold even while growing up. I see it. I've been seeing it all throughout my life. And just picking up on it when I was able to understand it for real. And now that I'm a lot older, just looking back and just seeing how it shaped and molded a lot of people, and how it shaped the environment that we live in today, how it shaped society that we live in today. We got a bunch of people who are junkies. We got a lot of people who are addicted to drugs and addicted to just toxicity in general. Growing up too fast is what breeds a lot of toxicity, and what breeds a lot of unstable and unhappy homes, what breeds a lot of unstable and unhappy people. Growing up too fast, because this is a lot. There's a lot of factors that go into it, whether it's your, how your upbringing, how you were raised, or how you weren't raised. It's just a lot of things that's going on with everyone, with society. I mean, that really needs to be addressed, and also working towards solutions, because that's what we're here for, to work on ourselves and to make society better, because that is a lot to take in. Like what we go through, what a lot of us went through when we were young, it wasn't pretty, it wasn't nice. Now, there should be certain forms of discipline, and we should have consequences for our acts, for our wrongdoings, and things of that nature. But a lot of the times, it's plainly ignorance from our parents, or ignorance of just not being told proper things, or over sheltering, or not being given the opportunity to be children, because we had to grow up too fast, because we had to help pay the bills. Let's just say a lot of children take teenage jobs to help pay with the bills. It's not just to help themselves. It's cool if they help themselves, but it was for us. There's nothing wrong with kids having jobs around the house and learning responsibility, but doing that to help pay the bills is like it plays into generational wealth, the lack of in a lot of families. It's growing up too fast is wild. Just looking at everything and seeing how it works, and just seeing even now in my generation how that has shaped a lot of us, and how it has really played the part in like making society detrimental. It is a detriment to society. It's a lot of things that we had to do. It's a lot of growing up. I've been told to grow up. Even though I'm playing around, I wanted to be a kid. I'm so glad that my childhood wasn't robbed. But I took note of like when I was told to grow up. I was told to be a man, even though I was still a boy. Just being a boy, being raised by a man, and being raised up to be a man, it's a process that, it should be carefully tailored to your environment around you. Yes, a lot of us have to survive, with growing up too fast, because a lot of us weren't living. You know, a lot of us were just were surviving. You know, a lot of us carry a lot of trauma because of that, growing up too fast. A lot of us, there's a lot of, you know, hard-working people, high-functioning people who can suffer with depression, undiagnosed depression, because we're just high-functioning and we know how to get things done while, you know, pushing off the emotions, while pushing off how we've been raised to be able to take in a lot, but not know how to release that, because, you know, that being built up, it is trauma, and that not being released in a proper, healthy way leads to a lot of instability in our emotions, our emotional well-being being affected negatively. It's just a lot that goes into that. I just think, you know, growing up too fast. Prepare the child for your world, but you got to prepare them in stages. Okay? You got to prepare them in stages. You can't just give them the whole thing and expect them to understand it all. Well, you've never understood, even in, like, let's just take school, for example. When they're learning how to walk, they didn't just wake up. Wasn't just born and then they just walked when somebody told them to walk. No, you had to work with them day in and day out for that year. So it took a year for babies usually to walk. Well, it takes typically like 9 months to a year for babies to walk. But nah, it's typically a year. Let me just say that. Yeah, it takes typically 10, 11 months to a year for babies to walk. It takes a couple years. It takes like a couple or a few years for babies to actually talk, and not just talk about. Not just make them sounds that or just say one or two words, but actually talk, actually use sentences and stuff like that. Or not full sentences, but more so being able to have multiple words in their language, in their vocab, so that they can, you know, get what they want or get their needs met. You know, that took time. And then when they go to school, they're learning sounds and how to write and how to read and how to, you know, also you should be reading to them at home, but how to read and how to write, you should be helping them write at home, and how to get their needs and emotional well-being met. You know, that's a big thing that needs to happen at home. Because, you know, there's a lot of times the school might not be able to do that, or, you know, sometimes just how the way that they see things, they may feel that their emotional well-being is not being taken into consideration. And that is with a lot of cases. That is a big problem in a lot of schools, where they're not actually solving the problem. Yeah, but it is a lot to grow up too fast. Just the amount of stories and the amount of things I've just seen personally. And I know even and there's just hundreds of thousands, millions of cases just like that. Well, not just like that, but there's millions of cases where there's just a lot of tough situations, extreme situations that kids are forced to go through, and that's why a lot of the time when the nature has taken over, because the nurturing was not there. So it's been one-sided. So a lot of the responses that they have are traumatic because they're in toxic environments, whether it's in the household or it's outside. They learning a lot of things outside in the world, and it is honestly it's kind of crazy to be a kid in this day and age, because a lot of kids aren't vocal about what they really want, aren't really vocal in a lot of households because they don't feel like their perspective matters. And a lot of times they're not given grace, or that it's just a lot of extreme situations, yes, but there's a lot of other situations where they feel neglected, like their emotional well-being is neglected because, they don't usually get to have a say. They just have to do what their parents or whoever is in charge of them do as they're told, and not actually express themselves in a healthy and proper way. And a lot of times aren't given the knowledge on how to navigate through their young life. Being forever young. This is something else that I want to say. Being forever. We're forever young. We're forever having to as a young adult, I'm always trying to I'm getting back to satisfying my inner child, because my inner child, I was a child, and a lot of times I've gotten to experience a good childhood for the overall, but a lot I missed out on. A lot of toxic things have happened to me, and I want to rectify that and make sure my inner child is happy. That's what I mean by forever young. It's your inner child that you all the things that you grew up into and grew up with and were passionate about. You read it if you're rediscovering it for the first time. Not for the first time, but if you're rediscovering it again, because it's not the first time. Because you already discovered it the first time. That's why it's a rediscovery of what you used to love to do and everything like that. It's amazing, seeing that, because I didn't want it to only be about like the negative side of it. Of course, I always want to get to the solution. So I already pointed a lot of solutions out. Just being careful about bringing in new life and not teaching them how to be human. Just teaching them how to be a worker. You got to teach them how to be human. We all got the emotional capability and all the emotions that come with being human. We all gonna have our highs and our lows and our mids too. We just got to know how to navigate that. Growing up too fast, a lot of the times, a lot of us couldn't express ourselves the way we wanted to, based on how the response that we would get from, external factors or internal factors for some people. But usually that's just a response of trauma that happened because of external factors, because of how our upbringing was. So we need to create a safe space for little people. That's kids. They're little people. They are going to one day grow up and be in the world and have to join society as adults. So the best way is to prepare them by giving them the tools for success, giving them tools to become human and have an emotional well-being, having them address their emotions or identify their emotions first and foremost, and then address them how they are, making sure that they understand the weight of their emotions and what they like, what they don't like, you know, and how that plays into their life, how that plays into who they're around and what they do in their life as far as their job or career, or just lifestyle. Like, growing up too fast affects lifestyle negatively. And in order to combat that, we need a safe space. We need to start treating kids like little people, like they're little people in society. Yeah, they may not have all the privileges of being an adult, and they might not have the knowledge and the understanding to make adult decisions, but you got to teach them step by step in stages. Growing up too fast would make you skip a lot of stages and give them all the information, and then now they don't have all the information or none of the information that they needed, some critical information that they needed, and it's crippled them because they had to learn it on their own. And a lot of the times it could be from a bad source outside of the home, and it can cripple them, and it can affect them negatively to where they are, aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, aren't making the world a better place, because they've been affected by it so much, and they internalized it, and now it's a part embedded in them to be toxic and to not address what's going on in their minds, in their hearts, in their in their spirit. It's a lot that's going on, with growing up too fast. We gotta be serious about that. Growing up too fast is it's a complicated thing. I think, like I said, growing up too fast is gonna have you not prepared for what's to come, because a lot of times when you growing up too fast, you can get taken advantage of really easily because of it's the lack of information. A big solution to that is to give sources and resources to those critical areas and the critical places that need it, the places that need that critical information to navigate in this world and not grow up too fast. Also, the parents and their lack of knowledge. Now, the parents are not going to know everything, but they need a better way of reaching the right information so that they can help their children succeed and become more productive in society, and actually make society better. Because a lot of the times when there's a lack of information, people moving off of ignorance instead of actually understanding the weight of what they're doing, can severely affect society to where it's making a change for the better. As long as, if the information is there. It's not there, well, we all know how the state of the world is today. It's not very good. It's a lot of bad going on. It's a lot of things going on, but it's not about the state of the world. This is more about, it ties into the greater state of the world, of course, but individually we got to do the work to reverse, well, not individually. Well, yes, individually, you can do the work to correct what's wrong with you, but collectively, we all need to fight back against growing up too fast, because it's still happening and it's still a problem. But I mean, we have what it takes. We just need to, like I said, this supercomputer in our pockets. Even if we don't know what we don't know, I just want this type of information to reach people. Get them thinking, have them understanding it and wanting to look up and wanting to find out more about this stuff, and actually applying it to their lives, because that's going to be the change that we need to see. I want to be the change that I want to see. So I've been just getting in the mode of discipline and getting in, taking chances. Because life is ephemeral. Life can be short, and it can be a lot to take in at times. It can be stressful. It could be beautiful. It's all of that. Life is going to life. It is very interesting to see, how everything unfolds when you understand what's going on. I think it's very important that we fight back against growing up too fast, because there's just too much people being told this, that, and the other, and we see why the state of the world is the way it is today because of this statement. It's not the only statement that has contributed. I mean, that's not the only statement that made the world the way it is, but it contributes for sure. We got to address these things. If we start with the little stuff and then go and then move our way to the big stuff, but in its own area, well, in its own not area, but in its own space, it is as big as the rest of the problems, because it is just, because it contributes to the collective state of the world. So it is just as big and important as everything else. That's why there's so much conversation over it. Like, we are social creatures, and we got to know what we need to be doing with that. So it's a lot. Being told to be a man at an age, at 11, at 14, even at 8 years old for some guys, for some boys, being told to slow down, being told to stop being, did I address the girls? I kind of said, but it being the reverse for girls, never grow too fast, or telling them, what is the thing for girls? Just a lot of it is the reverse, but it's more so, I feel like it's more so girls, and their emotional attachment to wanting to grow up too fast. I think it is the same thing. Let me think it over for a second. Okay, for girls, let me see if I can find, like, teenagers. Well, that's more of a teen problem. No, this is more of a people problem. I wanted to make it like, what are teen girls told? I really don't know, because I'm not a girl, but I feel like I've seen it many times before where I could just say it. Because a lot of girls got more emotional availability than guys. And is being not told to be too fast. They trying to. For girls, they usually have to look or act a certain way with the societal expectation of them not growing too fast, growing up too fast. They're trying to make a reverse certain way, but also, you know, yeah, it's a real hard one. For girls, it's a bit different. It's a lot different. Because when they're telling, well, with the topic at hand, growing up too fast is more so being, I don't know, it's just maybe more emotional struggles. Like a lot of girls on their side have to. Damn, I really should have. A lot of girls dealing with attention. I guess I can say attention. And not to say that guys ain't getting attention. I'm just saying girls getting at a certain age, they get a little more attention. Not the type of healthy attention that which allows them to, be, free and expressive and from all that. I'm talking about the negative attention to which gets them into drugs and substance abuse, drug addiction, teen pregnancy. It's a lot that goes on into, a lot of the times, and appearance. Appearance, I think for growing up too fast, a lot of girls want to look older. Yeah, so I think I did address it earlier in the morning. Man, I felt like I was, bro. It is 3, about to be 4. My goodness. So that's probably why I'm like so confused. But yeah, yeah. So appearance, a big thing that has been pushed on the girls is appearance. Oh, you definitely can see this. You definitely know how appearance for girls is definitely a bigger problem for girls than guys. Female beauty is one of the most powerful images in the world. I feel like I said that before. And appearance plays a big part in a young girl's life. In a teenage life or even in adolescence, before even preteens and stuff like that. A lot of that plays into the part. And social media does not make it better. Because it makes it seem like a lot of things is being shown, but there's a lot that's being not shown, that isn't being shown. A lot of social media is keeping kids from sleeping. Okay, it's not going to be a social media episode, but I'm pretty much wrapping up. But social media affects girls. It just seems like it's affecting girls a lot more as it comes to appearance, because they don't have what this girl has or the next girl has, or the Instagram model, air quotes and stuff like that. Just thirst trappers. And then appearance has a huge influence on young girls' minds. It's very impressionable, and they are very, it's a very big problem. And that plays into growing up too fast because they want to look older based on what they're being taught at home, but based on social media being a big contribution to that, and having girls depressed on their natural look, because that's why makeup is such a big thing for girls. Because makeup is honestly, I really don't like makeup. Yes, there's natural looking makeup, yada yada, whatever, but makeup as a whole bad for your skin. Makeup as a whole, as an industry, not good. It's just profiting off of women's insecurities, profiting off of girls' insecurities. A lot of teenage girls want to, the hair industry as well. Hair industry, hair, nails, and makeup. All of that plays a part. And in appearance, it's really big for girls. And solving that is quite an uphill battle. But there are solutions to that. Having girls having more natural hair movements and natural features movements, and not being afraid to show that you got a little bit of acne, or not being afraid, just show that you're human. Like you're feeding your body the wrong kinds of things, and that's why you're being affected so much. That's why there's a lot of the girls that are depressed, because they don't look like this, but they don't have this type of physical features. It's a lot of things going into physical appearance. Well, that's the only. No, I shouldn't say that. Physical appearance is a big thing for girls that are growing up too fast, because a lot of them are wearing clothes that are typically meant for adult women. And they shouldn't be engaging in stuff like that, because it's not healthy. And then this could play into the teen pregnancy rate. This plays into toxic relationship. A lot of that plays into getting into extreme situations and getting into manipulative relationships with older people, mainly older guys, but older people. Being a teenage girl and thinking that and flexing that an older, like a 40-year-old guy talking to you that's not it. And appearance plays a big part in that. The solution is, like I said, an uphill battle, but there are solutions. Loving the body that you're in, loving the regular clothes that you're in, and celebrating natural features. But even that's not really going to stop a lot of older people from being creeps, but it teaches them about their self-love. And once you teach self-love to a lot of these young girls, a lot of that you should see a lot. You will see change for the better. That's healthier, that they interact with themselves healthy ways, that their relationships are more positive. When people will accept this is how they look, this is how they're born with, and the changes does come around puberty. Everybody gets bigger, everybody grows a pair everybody grows into their adult body. Some people get people get their adult body early. And that's it. A lot of the girls stop growing after 18. But, as they say. But, you depending on how everything goes, if you become pregnant, your body will change as well. But we're not here to talk about pregnancy. But that was just to make the point more substantial. So loving your natural body, loving what you see in the mirror, that's going to be the solution for growing up too fast for young girls and for guys. Exploring the emotional, your well-being, identifying your emotions, and being able to navigate as a man. Getting into the situations that shape you well as a man, but also being able to understand that you need to release some of that emotional damage that you was given as a child. And that goes for both men and women, the emotional damage. All of this can factor in the emotional and the mental stress that everybody has to go through. So I think it's very important that we all got to do the work. We all got to do the work to make this society better. And Those are my solutions. And those are the solutions. Okay, so we gotta have these conversations. That's why natural hair movements and should be more of a forefront. And we've been seeing a trend throughout the years, but it needs to come as a big, tidal wave, a big trend of more natural hair. It's not just, because there's just still an uphill battle against trying to go against the hair industry and makeup, because they got the advertisement. Media is very powerful, so they got the power there. But, we fight back with natural hair. A lot of them, you're going to see a lot of them go out of business, and a lot of us start loving ourselves again. We can't keep falling for the same things. There has to be a great shift, and we need to embrace that shift for the better. All right? And with that being said, drink more water. Be kinder to people, please, because growing up too fast, a lot of people have responses that they can't take too kindly for if you're being mean, being crash outs or whatever it is. Listen, just let that not happen. Be kinder to people, whenever it's, if it's around the world. Some people got sunshine right now. I don't. I should be asleep, which I'm about to be. Go ahead and go outside, touch grass. Go for a walk when it's safe. If if it's safe out there. If you got some sunshine, right now. Well, I'm gonna just speak. Because most people are gonna listen to it during the day, I'm sure. So, just touch grass, go outside, get some sunshine. Take your vitamins. Get your body right. Eat right. Exercise. Change your diet if you need to. Just do everything that you're supposed to be doing to make this world, to make your home a happier home, a more peaceful home, but also making your area, your residence, your neighborhood a more peaceful place, and that will affect the world. That will affect change around you, is what I mean. With that being said, I'm King. It's the King Moolah TV podcast. I'm out of here.